So for a long time, yeah, you guys have been asking me to cover some Avenged Sevenfold stuff on Weekend Wankshop, so I figured I would finally oblige and give you guys a complete lesson on how to play the solo from Hail to the King. Check it out. Hey there kids, and welcome to a brand new installment of Weekend Wankshop. Here's your best buddy, Uncle Ben. On today's installment, I'm going to be showing you guys how to play the guitar solo to Hail to the King by Avenged Sevenfold, which is one that I've seen a lot of requests for, as well as a lot of really inaccurate tabs unless it's floating around out there for. I used my listening ears and watched as many live videos as I could to make sure I was giving you guys a completely accurate lesson on how to play this, especially in regards to some of the positions he plays some of the licks in, and the picking techniques and stuff that he uses to play this solo. It's pretty interesting stuff, pretty challenging. It took me a little while to get some of these licks down. Before we get into it, let's hear it again at stepdad speed. As always, you guys can find a full tab for this week's lesson over on my Instagram page at Ben Eller Guitars. Be sure to go over there and give me a follow, find the tab for this week's lesson, learn how to play it, then upload a video of yourself shredding through it, along with the hashtag Weekend Wankshop. So a quick word about the tuning that this song is in. It seems like the lead part is just tuned down a half step. E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, B flat, E flat. There's parts in the rhythm guitar that are definitely in like drop D flat, you know, so like down a half step and then drop D. But from what I can tell from all the live videos and stuff, I don't think that Synyster has his guitar in drop tuning for this. He never plays one finger power chords or anything like that that would be indicative of a drop tuning. So yeah, if you're playing Synyster's part, just tune down a half step. If you're stuck playing this in a drop tuning though, I guess the good news is there's really only like two parts that use the low E string. So you could take the transcription we're using today and just move anything that's happening on the low E string up 2 frets if you're playing this in a drop tuning. So keep that in mind too. So first things first in the solo is the Thunderstruck section, which takes place on the B string, playing some sweet arpeggios. Now what you're going to do here is to start off by playing the 5 on the B, then the 8, then the 5, and then the open. That kind of 4-note sequence of is what we're going to do with all the following patterns too, so keep that in mind. You're going to play that first shape right there, which is like an E minor arpeggio 4 times. And that's all alternate pick, no pull-offs or anything like that. I find licks like this are really great to test your hand synchronization with. After that, what you're going to do is to move that shape up a whole step. So now I'm going to be playing the 7 and 10 on the B. And again, it's the same pattern as before. 7, 10, 7, open. This time do this shape 2 times before you move it down here to 4 and 7 on the B string. So you had the first shape 4 times, up a whole step 2 times, and then down to fret 4 and 7 2 times. Then just repeat all that again. Next section is a little different. You're going to start off with the 5 and 8 arpeggio again 4 times. Then move up here to 10 and 13, again also on the B string. You're going to play that 2 times. Then move down to 7 and 10. That's also 2 times. So that section went 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2. Next, the shape is going to change up a little bit here. We're going to be using 8 and 12. It's a little wider stretch than you're doing before. Play that one 2 times. Before you move it down a half step, playing 7 and 11. Again, also 2 times. And then landing on the 12 on the B. With some juicy vibratos, of course. So overall, that section should sound like this. For the next section of the solo, start off by sliding into your 4 on your G string. Then you're going to play the 3 and the 4 again. After this, slide into the 7 on the B, 5, 4, then 5 and 7. So now you've had this. After that, you're going to pick that 7 again and slide up to 13. Then play 12. I've noticed with a lot of Synyster slides and stuff, he really takes his time to get to him. It's not like a really quick, zippy slide like that. It's more kind of drug out and dramatic. And then after that, what you're going to play is that's going to be playing the 10 on the B, 12, 13, 10, 12, 13. Then going to the high E here on 11 and doing a slow half-step bend. And it sounds like on the record he picks it once while he's holding the bend, and then 3 times. But you know, that's a really minor detail. That's fine too. Next we have this phrase. So that's me sliding into that 11 on the high E again. 12, 14, 11, 12, 14, and then slide into the, what is that, 19 on the high E? Again, it's a slow, sexy slide. 17, 15, and then play the 17 on the B. So that's... And then this last phrase. Now what you're going to do there is slide into that 19 on the high E, 20, 17, 19, 20, 17, and 19. And you'll notice that he kind of stops all of those notes with his pick, you know? He's not just letting him sustain, nor is he kind of like muting him with the left hand. Like that. Basically what he's doing is he's picking the note and then jamming the pick up against the string. Pushing it through, jamming it up against the string, You can always tell when guys are doing that because it gets that really chirpy kind of sound, which is cool. The next section is probably the 4 hardest licks in the solo. They all use some economy picking and some kind of arpeggio outlining ideas that I've seen gypsy jazz players do, which is pretty cool. What you're gonna do is to start off here sliding into the 7 on the A string, 9, 10, 9 on the D. Notice the position shift used right there. So the first finger went from 7th position to 9th position. Now that right there is like an E minor 9 arpeggio, and you're going to repeat that arpeggio in the next octave like this. So what I did right there is I played the 9 on the G, 11 and 12, and then go to the 12 on the B. So now you have this. And then on the high E here, you're going to play 12, 14, and 15. Notice the timing here. Those last 3 notes really whizzed by. And picking wise, the way you're going to do this is with some economy picking. You could cross pick through the whole thing, and that'd be great practice for that kind of thing, but I try to do everything as accurate to the record versions and stuff as I can, so I did this with the economy picking like what he does. You're going to play down, up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down. After that, 14 and 12. And then we enter the next tricky lick. Which again, I do some economy picking on this too. I'm gonna play the 11 on the high E, 14, 12, 11, 12 on the B, 11 on the G. Just kind of outlining a B arpeggio here. Then you gotta play 14, 12, 11, and then on the D string here, we're gonna play 14, and 13. So that lick is, the timing of that one is really all over the place. It's pretty crazy. And I think the best way to pick that phrase is to go down, up, up. That's kind of your little fragment of picking. Down, up, up. Do that on the next group too. Down, up, up. Then a downstroke right there. After this next phrase here, I swear he absolutely must have gotten this straight out of Jimmy Rosenberg's playbook. Jimmy Rosenberg is a gypsy jazz player who's just unbelievable. And actually, I think a year or 2 ago, I did a lesson on a Weekend Wankshop that was that Jimmy Rosenberg arpeggio lick, because you really can't hear a Jimmy Rosenberg solo where he doesn't use this arpeggio idea over a minor chord. So I know Synyster Gates is like a big gypsy jazz fan, so I am almost certain he lifted it straight out of his playbook as an homage of sorts. Pretty cool stuff. Now what you're gonna do here is you're gonna slide into the 14 on the G, 13 B, 12 on the high E, then you gotta play the 17. This is an A minor arpeggio. And then what you're gonna do is to come back off and play that 12 on the high E string. Down, 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 up, up is the best way to play this section. You can do a downstroke on the E too, it doesn't really matter that much. And this arpeggio section, I see a lot of people play it like this. And that's more typical of, sweep picking arpeggios, just down and up like that. But if you listen really close to the original and maybe even slow it down or something here on YouTube, you'll hear that it's got a little bit more phrasing to it than just straight up and down the arpeggios. So anyway, here's our first one. Then play the same idea, only make the high E string note, highest note, go down a fret. So I'm gonna be playing 14 G, 13 B, 12 high E, 16 high E. Then back to that 12. So again, I just took the highest note and moved it down a fret. Do the same thing again next. 15, and then lastly, 14. So again, you're watching the high E string just track its way down chromatically right there. 17, 16, 15, 14. That leads us to the next phrase here, which is pretty dang difficult to play. And again, there's a lot of tabs out there for this lick in particular that are way different. But watch Synyster play it live and you'll see him make these same position shifts. Plus there's a certain logic to it when you look at the way that these shapes are just repeating in octaves. It's kind of like he's taken the reverse way in of how he started this section out with the... It's kind of like he's getting out of it the same way, but backwards. So here's the phrase. So this is me starting off on the 14 high E, 15, 14, 12, and then 12B, 12G. And kind of like this phrase, he's repeating a picking pattern through moving octaves right here. And so the way you're going to want to do this is down, up, down, up, up, up. Down, up, down, up, up, up. And then you're going to do the same thing in the next octave. So this is me on G9. There's a quick position shift right here. Oh, let's try it again. From 12 to 9. Okay? And on the G string 9 here, you're going to play 9, 12, 11, 9, 9D, 10A, and then the 7 on the A. So that phrase is like this. And again, the picking there is really essential to pay close attention to make sure you get it all right. So play both of those segments as down, up, up. Then start over. Down, up, up, down. Myself, that's a phrase I had to kind of practice the most to keep it in time, because whenever you're economy picking like that, it's really hard to stay right on the click and remain super rhythmic with it, so it's a pretty challenging one to play. I like this next phrase a lot. Again, it's very gypsy jazz the way that he does this. This is him playing over kind of an implied B7 sound, and then over an E minor. So how I'm starting this off here is to play the 7 on the low E string, 8, and then go down here and play 6 to 7. This is a cool idea that gypsy players do a lot. Anytime the root note is like, let's say something like B, they'll kind of surround it on either side. You'll notice how he used this passing tone right there, right under the root. He's played the note right above the root, which is really tense. He's played the note right below the root, which is also really tense. Then you're gonna play 6 and 9 on the A. On the D string here, we got this little chromatic line. This is 7, 8, 9. And again, if you look at this as a B7 arpeggio, it would look like this. And he could have just played up that, and that would have been kind of boring. But it's cool to see how he decorates it with those surrounding tones, and then a little bit of chromaticism right there. It's a really cool sound. Then you're gonna play 8 on the G. On the B string here, you got 3 notes, 7, 8, and 10. And then on the high E, you play 7, 8, and 11. I'm just alternate picking through that. I think it's one of those lines that you probably could, sneak some sweet picking into, but I think it's kind of unnecessary. Same with this line right here. This is all alternate pick for me. I'm gonna play 12 on the high E, 7. B string here, 2 notes. I'm gonna play 8 and 7, G9, D9, and then on the A string here, I'm gonna play 10, 9, 7. So that's. And you can see how this is rooted around that popular E minor sweep shake. You're just adding in that F sharp note in both octaves. This is something he's done the whole solo so far, so pretty cool little idea. And then lastly, we have this phrase that he plays in an open position. Sometimes I see transcriptions of this of him playing it somewhere up here fretted. It's not, it's open position stuff. Open high E, 3rd, 2nd, open. Then you gotta go to the B here, 4, 1, pull off to open. And then you gotta play the same line on the next 3 strings here. You're gonna play 2, pull to 1, pull to open. D, 2, pull to 1, pull to open. A2, 1, open. It's just kind of a bunch of chromatic nonsense, but it goes by pretty quickly, so it sounds cool. Like that. It's kind of up for debate if those are all pull-offs or if it's down, up, pull, down, up, pull. Go with whichever one seems right to you. I think usually just out of habit I play down, up, pull, down, up, pull, down, up, pull, but your mileage may vary. Now after that last A string pull-off, what you're gonna do is using your bar here, start pulling it up a whole step. And when it reaches that whole step, what you've gotta do is lightly touch the A string on the 5th fret. I'll do it again. It's hard to keep that in tune. So what you're gonna want to do to make that really happen, you gotta be delicate whenever you touch that 5th A harmonic. And it helps too. Do you see how with these fingers here, I'm muting the low E with my thumb and I'm muting the 4 higher strings with my first finger? That's just gonna keep that note really pure sounding. That way it doesn't ring out a bunch of other open strings and stuff. So anyway, you got your A that you pull off 2, yanking up on the bar, touch the 5, and then just dive bomb it. And you'll notice that while it was dive bombed, all I did here is using like my middle finger, I just kind of plucked the low E string to get that note generating. It's no different than if you just would have done this. You're just doing it with this hand instead. I'm not fretting anything. I'm just kind of plucking it. That's a Van Halenism right there. So A to E. And you just let the bar back in place. Again, if you were doing this in a drop tune guitar, you'd have to fret the 2 on the low E right there as you pull it up. So keep that in mind. So to put the whole thing together, we got our Thunderstruck section. Same thing again. Different one. Major arpeggios here. 4th position G stuff. Don't forget to make this slide pronounced. Again, slide into the 11, sliding into the 19, sliding into 19 again, chirping with that pick right there. Our economy picked E minor 9 thing, the really weird one, the Jimmy Rosenberg lick, the reverse of the entry, the cool B7 thing, E minor, and your open string fuckery. Close enough. So there you go, guys, the first ever Avenged Sevenfold lesson here on Weekend Wankshop. I gotta say, I enjoyed that one. I've never really been a huge listener of Avenged Sevenfold, but it's fun going through this solo and seeing the way that he chose to outline some of those arpeggios and use some of that chromaticism and stuff like that. Again, if you're into that kind of thing, listen to some dang gypsy jazz and learn how those guys play around arpeggios and stuff, because it's the total opposite of the typical king of guitar center up and down sweep thing, you know? Jimmy Rosenberg is a great dude to listen to. Also, be sure to listen to Yoshio Stefan and Borelli Lagreen, and of course Django Reinhardt, who's the father of that entire style of music. You'll probably be really surprised to hear how many things that you've heard in other Avenged Sevenfold solos whenever you listen to those guys play. Thanks for watching this week's episode. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel for more brand new lessons every single dang week. Be sure to hit that little bell button down there for notifications. You guys can follow me on Instagram at Ben Eller Guitars or over on my Facebook fan page at facebook.com/Uncle Ben Eller. And if you'd like to book some one-on-one Skype lessons with me, be sure to drop me an email. benellerguitars@gmail.com is where you can reach me. Thanks again for watching. Now get away from the doggone computer machine and go play some dang guitar. Less clicking, more picking.